Aloha, aloha, guys. Copa America, it's here, man. Actually, look, before we actually go into like the specifics of this, I want to just do like a general discussion here. Because obviously, I think people had this whole debate of like, which is better, like Euros, World Cup, which is more important. So I'm going to take you back to the 90s. So you see, like, so obviously, again, I'm the youngest in my family. So pretty much a lot of my football knowledge comes from my older brothers who are like 7, 6 years older than me. So literally, like, one of my earliest memories beyond just the 94 World Cup was, I think it was the 96 Copa America, which I think was Ronaldo's first one. And I think that was one where it was Ronaldo and Romario. And really, like, it was just me sitting up late and watching it to my older brothers. And this is what I've always said. If, let's say, we're going to talk about all of the different kinds of continental trophies, I feel AFCON, dynamism, entertainment, fans, and just the kind of aggression of the game, and just it's very entertaining. Euros, balanced, a lot of really good quality teams, and a lot of good tactical play. I think Asia Cup, CONCACAF, pretty entertaining, pretty open. But in terms of technical quality, Copa America. So in terms of like the individuals, the dribbling, the physicality, the intensity, plus the just the quality of the players that you're seeing and the kind of crazy things that you're seeing, it's been there. So whether it's from Ronaldo, Romario, Zamorano, Salas, your boy Alberto Solano. So you always have this good individuals over there. So I always feel like if like Copa America is where you see the best quality. But, and this is my question, I'm going to give it to Ricardo then to rank. This last Copa America, do you think the overall quality has fallen? Because obviously, growing up, the main teams was really Brazil, Argentina, Colombia were pretty strong, and then Uruguay were not that strong. So I'm talking like this is like 9 C's 2000. So Uruguay were not that strong. Colombia were pretty strong, and then those just. But now you saw Chile's golden age, Uruguay coming through, and even Ecuador, who we'll talk about later, coming through. But I look at that last Copa America, and I'm like, just in terms of just the general quality, it just seems to have fallen. And I think like you're looking at just how the quality in Brazil ain't that great. You're looking at Colombia, who are not really as strong as they were probably like in the 90s, 2000. Remember when like, they had guys like Valderrama in the 94 World Cup. So if you recall, like, do you think the overall quality has fallen in Copa America as opposed to previous years?
I think this Copa America specific will be better. If you compare it to the last one in
Mm,
2021, I think it was very top heavy. I think Brazil and Argentina were definitely the two best teams compared to the other ones. I think Chile obviously were the tail end or the twilight zone of their golden generation. Um, Ecuador, I believe they're a lot better now than they were then. Colombia definitely were a decent, because spearheaded by Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz was incredible that tournament.
mm,
Peru, I think we did. I think we had just lost Ricardo Gareca, which is our manager. Which honestly, at that point, is the best I've seen Peru play in my entire life. But I don't think he was there, so Peru had fallen off. Uruguay, they look significantly a lot better than they did. They look now compared to then.
mm,
So yeah, I would say the last Copa America was lacking in quality. It did have the star power because obviously it was driven more so by Messi and Neymar. So I think, and if you watch the tournament, they were undoubtedly the two best players of the
mm.
tournament. You can third was definitely Luis Diaz, but I don't think it disappointed in terms of star power. But I think in terms of overall quality, yes, I would agree that it was lacking in that sense, but not from Brazil and Argentina. Even though Brazil, what's it called? They definitely do get compared a lot to the previous generations, which whether it's fair, whether it's not, it's a different debate on its own. I definitely do think that it was lacking generally overall. I would say yes.
Rank?
Yeah, for me as well. I think that also another point about last Copa America was the format. I feel like having 10 teams, that kind of weird format with two groups of five, just kind of rewarded mediocrity as a whole. We saw a lot of bad teams ended up making the knockouts. Ecuador, I don't think they won a single game to make the knockouts. Like it was a mess. We were coming obviously of COVID, and the quality wasn't really there. Most of the teams had fallen off and didn't have their best players available as well. So I think that last Copa America was definitely a drop in quality compared to other tournaments. But I'm really, really excited for the one that's coming up, because there are a lot of teams that are coming into great form. And, we always see these kind of underdogs that somehow get a crazy result and shake up the entire tournament. That it just adds that little bit of spice to the Copa America. And I feel like having this format, similar to the one we saw in 2016 with 16 teams, it's just a lot better to have these 4 groups of 4. I feel like it's just the best format the Copa America has seen. So really excited for that.
So let me ask you guys another thing. So let's say, I want you guys to now be salespeople now. And for people who are, let's say, Euro merchants or they live in a bubble, try to sell to me why you feel that people should be tuning in to watch this Copa America. Like, why should they be tuning in to watch this Copa America? So, like, I'll just give it a go, but I definitely want to hear from you guys being more the experts. But this is just me as an outsider. For me, I would say that, again, what I always say to people and what I say to fans is, expose yourself. Like, we live on planet Earth, not planet Europe or planet England or planet so try to expose yourself to as much football as possible, because you're exposing yourself to different culture. So what I say about Copa America is, for me, I feel it takes the best of Europe and Africa. So you have the kind of in some individual qualities and kind of like passing tactical stuff of Europe, plus the aggression and the intensity that you have from Africa. Because I remember one thing. I think it might have been the Copa America in 26, 50, wait, 20, I think it was 2015. Yes, it was either 2015 or 2016. So I think it was Chile against Argentina. It was either Chile against Argentina or against Colombia. And it was half, so basically, and with the first half, and Messi was getting hacked, boom, boom, hacked. And then Messi went to the ref that, yo, what's happening? And the ref said, look, this is South America. So, because just say, no, like, I'm sorry, the way that we ref here is different. There's a lot more aggression, there's a lot more physicality. And I think the physicality and aggression and the kinds of tough players that are allowed to go is what makes it interesting. Where, like, in Europe, it's perhaps a lot more lenient. They protect guys a lot more and it's less physical. So that's why I say like Copa America is a blend of really good high quality football, really good individuality with skills and dribbling, plus intensity, physicality, and the referees allow a lot more. So Ricardo, how would you sell the Copa America to guys who maybe have not watched it before?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think a lot of people when they watch football, they definitely cater towards more the European game, just because the bigger club teams. I guess there's more marketing regarded toward all the best players in the world, whether it's from from South America, Africa, Asia, North America. The top tier players, they always end up in European teams. So I can understand by default why they lean towards the Euros. I understand that. However, when you're looking at other continental tournaments, for example, I recently have only started watching the AFCON, right? There's a lot of elements in AFCON that I definitely enjoy because it's very similar to that of South America, mainly being the drama, the brutality, the physicality. It's hilarious. Now, maybe for someone who's been so indulged in the European game for probably your entire life you've been watching it, you're probably more into a cleaner, more, I guess to say more sportsman-like way of playing. I can understand why it may be hard on the eye to watch the South American football or sometimes even an extension AFCON. So it's definitely...
So basically, Ricardo keeps on sending me loads of crazy stuff in DMs. And he sends me, I think it was a clip from the Uruguayan league, where while a guy was celebrating, there was a dog running in the stands towards him. So yeah.
So you see dogs celebrating. You see even dogs celebrating. Everything's lively down there. But no, for South America, the Copa America, obviously a very, very historical tournament. I believe it's actually older than the World Cup itself, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
So, I mean, you're talking about a very prestigious with long history. You could say this is the FA Cup of
Yeah,
international.
it's true. You can say that. Yeah. This is the
International
FA Cup.
tournament.
Yeah.
You know, but no, this Copa America, you have so many narratives riding on it. Starting with Argentina, they could be the first nation to win back-to-back Copas and a World Cup, all back-to-back. If you want to count the Finalissima as a minor trophy, then you can go as well as that. This is definitely one of the biggest dynasties in South American history. If they win, and they look favored to win, this also could be Messi's last international tournament. If you are betting that he won't play in the World Cup, Uruguay had made a massive resurgence. If you're a fan of football, you know Marcelo Bielsa is definitely one of the most entertaining, one of the most inspirational managers, and he has Uruguay flying right now, who I think are second favorites, but we'll get into that. Colombia is one of the best footballing, probably the best football playing team in South America right now. They've gone undefeated for I can't remember how long. I think I don't. It's
Last 20 games.
yeah, last 20 games, which probably depends over 2 or 3 years. I don't know, but they have been playing very well. Venezuela, surprisingly, have been doing very well in the qualifiers, which this is a country that never makes the World Cup, so they're there. Ecuador and has the young kid Kendrick Paez, who's consistently starting for the team, a lot of quality. This is probably one of the best generations they've had in a long time, and possibly in their history. And then obviously everyone's favorite nation, Brazil. A lot of narratives flying. You know, Vinicius obviously coming off a potential Ballon d'Or. He looks probably to cap it off, really right the wrongs of his international career that has been pretty, I guess, very poor by his standards, or at least you would expect by a winger, a world-class winger by Real Madrid, having that type of international career thus far at the age of 23 has been pretty disappointing. But if he leads them, scary narratives for not only him but for Neymar as well, because he's not going to be at the tournament. But also there's Endrick, who a lot of people feel is the next coming of Pele. This is going to be his first international tournament, whether he starts, but he definitely will make a show for them. So you know, you have other teams as well, including the CONCACAF teams. There's a lot of narratives with the United States. We've seen a lot of people on this channel obviously feel a certain way about their manager. Canada's in shambles. I'm not gonna go too much into that.
Jesse.
You know, Mexico is always there for vibes. You know, great fan base. There's no denying Mexico.
Amazing fan base.
National team not on the same par. So there's that, and then obviously there's.
So actually, what's a more passionate fan base, Mexico or Peru? More passionate.
Definitely the Mexicans. There's no denying.
Really?
That. Yes. Peru, we're a bit delusional. You know, last World
No.
Cup.
I didn't say anything about passion comes with the delusion. I said which is the most passionate, and delusion and passionate comes hand in hand.
Well, how do I say it?
What I just said is what is the most passionate?
Well, I mean, they outnumber us, so I mean, it's kind of a hard. In Mexico, they range from all over the place, so it's kind of hard to beat them in numbers. Chile, is this the last hoorah for some of those guys? I mean, it's really only Alexis Sanchez and Claudio Bravo.
The other guys are gone already.
Yeah, but personally, for me, I will be watching Chile, even though they are our arch nemesis, or arch rivals, just because Ricardo Gareca is now their manager. And it's like going from Barcelona to Real Madrid. And I personally am sad that Ricardo Gareca left, because as you see in the table, Peru is in shambles. We're last place in the qualifiers. But no, that's the magic of one man. So who knows? Chile could be a sleeper team. You never know.
Okay.
But it should be a great tournament overall.
So Ryan, how would you sell the Copa America to guys who may have not have seen the tournaments before? That's why they should watch it.
You guys just basically stole all that I was gonna say. Like you got the physicality, you have the fans, you have the technicality, the passing, the great teams, the narratives. We've seen it all over the place, like with Brazil, with Argentina, with Colombia, with Uruguay, and you have like all these other sleeping nations, like he was saying, like Chile, like Ecuador. What is going to happen with Mexico? What is going to happen with the USA? What is Paraguay going to score a goal? Like what is going to be happening to Peru as well? So there are a lot of narratives flying around, and just seeing the intensity of the game, the intensity of the passion of the fans as well. I think that is a distinction that you never see in Europe, and also just the disrespect in general to the tournament, just saying that, oh, it's only Argentina and Brazil, but you have the best players there. Like all the best players that are playing in Europe come from South America. We're talking about Vini being pushed for a Ballon d'Or. We are seeing, obviously, maybe Messi's last dance too. We're seeing Lucho Diaz. We're seeing, well, Rodrigo Bentancur, I was going to say, but I I was trying to refer to Valverde as well. Like you got all these players, and if you talk, what would be your top 4 football players all time as well?
Oh, I mean, obviously R9, Maradona, Zidane. You could put them in there, but I mean, no, you could say Dino. Basically, Messi.
Messi. You could keep. You forgot Pele. You could keep
Pele,
naming
yeah,
South
Pele.
Americans.
Yeah.
Like the list of players from South America that have impacted this game, and it only keeps on going. And the thing about the Copa America is that then you're gonna see these players coming out and potentially joining the European clubs as well. People are not talking about Nicolás de la Cruz for Uruguay. People are not talking about Gustavo Gomez for Paraguay. People are not talking about Paulo Diaz for Chile because they don't play in Europe. But all this talent that is coming out of South America is going to play in the Copa America. John Arias just scored a goal for Colombia as well. He plays at Fluminense, just won the Copa Libertadores, and I think he could make a move to Europe as well. They are going to show themselves at the Copa America, and I feel like it's very important that people know about these people and that, they watch the tournament because the football is going to be amazing as well.
Okay. So let's start things off, man. So we have to start with the defending champions, man. Argentina. So your boy is Argentina, man. So look, I mean, rank are you maybe a bit worried that you guys are so overwhelming favorites? Even though obviously I feel that we'll get in, but I feel the second favorites are actually Uruguay, based on just how well they've been playing, how well Darwin is playing. Also, when you guys last faced each other, Uruguay said was a very ill-tempered game. So do you feel that this team is primed to go back to back? Or do you feel that maybe because remember, put it this way, before the last Copa America, the favorites were Brazil. They were the favorites. Going into that World Cup, the favorites were France. So Argentina were not favorites in either the last Copa America or the last World Cup. But now, winning the Finalissima against Italy, winning the Copa America, winning the World Cup, they are genuine favorites now. So how do you think that Messi and your boys are going to deal with that talk of where you are now the firm favorites and you're almost expected to win this?
Listen, so there's 2 ways of going about this, because one, I think that the pressure is off. This team has no pressure going into this tournament, because going into the Copa America and going into the World Cup, there was a lot of pressure on this team, even if they didn't want to acknowledge it, but there was, because going into the last Copa America, it had been 28 years without a trophy. And not only 28 years without a trophy, but also 7 consecutive finals losing. So there was a lot of pressure mounting into this team. And, it showed in that last generation that made 3 consecutive finals, 2014 World Cup, 2015, 2016 Copa America. Like, for example, Gonzalo Higuaín.
Oh, God.
World-class striker. He was starting ahead of Benzema at Real Madrid. He had the record for the most goals in a single season in Serie A with Napoli. It's not that the guy was bad. The guy was under pressure. That team crumbled under the pressure. They felt the media and the fans over their shoulders when they had to take the decisions.
And also as well, we love him. And for me, this guy I revere him as literally one of the greats, perhaps the greats. But Maradona, what were you thinking benching Milito for Higuaín in that 2010 World Cup? That for me, that was crazy. I still love Maradona, but that was crazy though.
It was. But we saw it time and time again with Argentina in previous tournaments, that it was the pressure of, okay, we didn't win before, so we have to win now. And that affecting the players so much. We have never lost a Copa America game against Chile. And yet those 2 finals, we lost on penalties. It was the pressure. It was not that the other teams were better than us. We had everything to win something. And the fact that somehow against Brazil at the Maracanã, we managed to break that curse. It banished all pressure that this team had. We were able to see the best of Argentina after the Copa America win, not during the Copa America. During the Copa America, we were kind of scraping by. But after the Copa America, when the pressure was off, we saw the best of this team. And it ended up capitalizing on the World Cup. Now, this team has won everything. they have no pressure of winning anymore, but they are still hungry for more. And so I feel like having no pressure makes this team incredibly dangerous. But you can also look at it from the other perspective, that have we become compliant? Have we become overconfident? We think we are too good and we cannot lose. That is another thing, another argument that you can make. And I think that our preparation hasn't been the best. The main worry that I have is that we haven't been tested defensively, because we are playing a bunch of minnows, because that's what makes the federation money, apparently. So I'm really interested to see what we're going to do. I feel like we got a very favorable draw. We should be making that final. Then in the final, it's a one-off game and anything can happen. But we should be in that final defending the trophy. But I feel like those are the two narratives that are basically set on this Argentina team. There's no pressure, but also, have we become compliant, and how are we going to deliver now that we are going to face very improved teams?
You mean complacent?
Yes, complacent.
Complacent, yeah.
English is hard. But yes, Uruguay has improved a lot. Colombia has improved a lot. Brazil are a bit of a mess right now, but you can never rule them out, truly. You can never rule out Brazil. So there are going to be a lot of good teams that are going to be fighting their way from that other side of the bracket. And we're going to have to prove ourselves against teams like Ecuador, against teams like Venezuela, potentially, against Chile, who are on a bit of a rise. So this tournament is not going to be easy, because all the teams are going to want to beat us. Like, there's a target on our back.
Oh, yes.
Beating Argentina is going to be the main focus, the main driving force of all of these teams.
Every team, yeah.
They are going to try so hard against us, and we're going to see how we are able to adapt to that. But yeah, I think that the main thing, this team has no pressure, but they still want more. So that's a recipe for success.
Ricardo, Argentina, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, more or less building off of what Rank said, you have the defending champions of not only the continent but of the world in this tournament. I think it really just depends on them. I mean, not to take too much away, but even in their last game against Ecuador without Messi, they just completely they were like they weren't even to me it looked like they weren't even trying against Ecuador. Meanwhile, Ecuador was like fighting for their lives. So it can clearly tell you that this team is way ahead of the pack. And for Argentina, it's up to them. It's a great question to ask if they're going to become complacent or whether they're going to be chasing history. I just hope that these guys are aware that they are chasing history here and becoming the first South American to do something. And I think being the first to do anything is definitely should be more than enough motivation.
So I just clarify. So a South American set has never won the Copa America and World Cup back to back, or a Copa America, World Cup, Copa America.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
The latter. No team has ever done that, so they could be the first nation to do it. I'm sure certain players in this team will have no issue trying to be motivated, namely being Messi. And I'm pretty sure, I think some extra motivation for them could be like, look, this is Di Maria's last tournament. You know, a long servant at the club, a legend of the nation. Like, this is something you want to send them out as. And who knows, if this is Messi's last tournament, this could be a sending off for him too. So there is motivation for them. Hopefully they're not, complacent, because I definitely think they definitely got an easy draw. Pretty much their tournament should really start in the final. So whoever they get in the final should be bruised and beaten, because we're talking about Colombia, Uruguay, and Brazil, the guys who probably follow Argentina in terms of favorites. They're going to be dueling for that one spot. Meanwhile, Argentina are going to have a cakewalk to that, assuming things go to plan. But yeah, for Messi and them, there's definitely a lot there for them to gain, very little for them to lose. The rank is right that they hadn't won since 93, I believe, which is the last time they won the Copa America. And then they went through the rest of the 90s and the 2000s, and then a bit into the halfway, well, actually all through 2010s, actually not winning anything. And obviously they've lost 7 finals consecutively, 3 of which being in the span of 3 years. In the most heartbreaking fashions, really, 2 penalty shootouts and an extra time winner by Mario Götze. Really, to lose 3 finals in the closest possible margins. I don't know. I'll be contemplating life if I was Argentine, but somehow they turned it around. So maybe this is their one way of making a right out of the wrong here. But I definitely do think Argentina are comfortably favorites and rightfully favorites, but I'm pretty sure we'll get into another contender that can challenge them. But Argentina should really win this tournament, in my opinion.
Oh no, especially I was just looking at, because when you guys talked about how Nobody's done like Copa America, World Cup, Copa America. But it's like, what the hell happened to Brazil?
No.
Do you know that Brazil lost to Honduras in the 0-1 Copa America
Yeah.
quarterfinals? How the hell did they lose to Honduras?
To be fair,
To be fair, it was a big team.
Yeah, to be fair, Brazil historically haven't always sent their best teams to the Copa America. Like Pele has only participated in one Copa America in '59, and they came second. Argentina won. He's actually when he's played. Maradona has never actually played it. Never won it either.
Well, okay, because I think because he was supposed to go to the 93 one, but drug tax. That was like a drug
Yeah.
thing.
So I mean, yeah. So like, for Brazil, they don't always send their A team, and I mean, as of now, they actually are consistently sending their A team. So
Yeah, but
historically,
it
they
was
just
it was
haven't.
crazy that period. Like you obviously had Brazil between 1958 and 1970. They won 3 World Cups. Yet in that time period, those 12 years, they didn't win a single Copa America.
That's crazy, yeah. Crazy. All right, so speaking of which, good segue, man. So let's talk about Brazil, man. Look, my main thing is don't get grouped. so
Come on.
no, look, honestly, now basically, there are potential emergency hangers that I don't want. One emergency hangers that I don't want is a emergency hangers of Brazil getting grouped, because if that happens, Vini's Ballon d'Or dream is officially over. So first of all, let's just get through the group. I think that this is going to be interesting because this is a Brazil team without Neymar. Love him, hate him, sister tax, all that kind of stuff. Neymar is pivotal to this team. And so much of what Brazil do well is through Neymar, and they've been built around him. Now, fair enough. Brazil have won a Copa America without Neymar, but that was a very different Brazil team. The one that won the Copa America without Neymar. But I think what's going to be, it's going back to the earlier point that Ricardo was saying, narratives. There's a Vini narrative of, can he finally turn up for Brazil and be the star of Brazil, especially after he's had such a great season. The Endrick narrative, what can Endrick do? Like, what is Endrick's role going to be? Because obviously he's going to start off the bench, but could Endrick be a surprise star? And could this really be the thing that really jettisons him off to really now start to say once before he now joins Real Madrid? Rodrigo, number 10 jersey. What does he have to say? Because I think that this is an important tournament for Rodrigo and Vini. For Endrick, you're playing with house money. For Vini, you have to perform based on what you've done and the kind of player that you are looking for the Ballon d'Or. For Rodrigo, Mbappe is coming in, Endrick is coming in. There are questions as to what your role will be for Real Madrid. This could be a tournament to remind people that no, I am still that student and I can still offer something to Brazil and sort of like put some respect on my name. So I don't know what to expect from Brazil. I don't think they'll win it. And I think that it's weird that even if it's Brazil, so let me even ask Ricardo this question. Are Brazil playing without much pressure, or are they playing with pressure? Ricardo.
I think they are playing with pressure. Whether it's the pressure of what something like Argentina was facing before the Copa America, I don't think so. I don't think them having Neymar alleviates them of any pressure. I definitely do think there's still pressure. There's pressure on Vinicius because there's a lot of questions being asked about him when he wears the Brazilian national team uniform. There's certain guys that aren't obviously someone like Endrick. Really, he's playing with house money here. Vinicius is really the talking point. Also, you could possibly say the fact that they lost the last Copa America at home, they want some sort of redemption, because it really is embarrassing not only to lose your first Copa America you've ever hosted, but lose to Argentina makes it even worse. I don't think there's a worse result than that. But for Brazil, I think there is pressure. There's always will be pressure for Brazil to perform. I think they definitely can win this tournament, although it'd probably be a large ask considering their route to the final. But I think the team isn't necessarily there to say, yeah, for sure they'll win, because I think they have great center backs. You have Militao, whether or not he will play much just because he's been, had a rough injury season. They have Gabriel, they have Bremer, who I rate really highly. The fullbacks is a real question because you do have guys like Jan Couto and stuff, but defensively they might not be just as strong. Midfield wise is where you could say they're lacking. Sorry. Attacking wise, I don't think they'll have a problem. They have several good options. Maybe none of Neymar quality, obviously, but
Please
enough.
tell me Ray Charlton isn't anywhere near the squad.
I don't
He's not.
believe. Yeah, I don't believe he is.
Thank God, thank God.
I, I don't know if Endrick will be starting, but I could see a scenario where I believe Evan Nilsson's the one that's going to be probably starting or something like that. If he doesn't perform at the level that is necessary, and as we've seen so far with Endrick, every time he comes off the bench, seemingly he always has a goal in him. That could definitely change. He could definitely be starting in the latter parts of the tournament. But I think there is pressure. There is pressure, not as much as someone maybe. Actually, I don't know because
Yeah, because based
I
on where
I think
Brazil
there is
is
pressure,
now and
man.
how we view them, and specifically without there being Neymar. See, put it this way: there is general pressure because Brazil is Brazil. There's just that general
Yeah.
pressure. But when you actually add context to it, and you just look at where Brazil is now, and they're playing, and they don't have a Neymar, and look at how strong Argentina is, who are defending champions. Look how well Uruguay is doing, and you look at how much Brazil are struggling in qualifying. Is there huge pressure beyond just your Brazil?
I think there is, because if we're saying that Argentina really they don't have that much pressure, although I think there is a bit of pressure, I don't think Brazil and Argentina's pressure is correlated to another. I think those countries are so successful that there's just pressure amongst themselves. So for Brazil, there has to be pressure just for them to perform and them to make to win to be at the finals. I think anything less than a finals for Brazil, regardless of where they may stand today, is a bit of a failure, because I think historically they should be Colombia. Like, even though Colombia's playing better, they should be able, just based on national pride and I guess the weight of the uniform. Uruguay, like, to me, if they lose to Argentina or they lose to Uruguay in the process, I don't think that's such a big stain. I think it's just more so bragging rights for those countries who shit on each other as they always do. But for Brazil, I would say this pressure. I think there's more pressure on Vinicius to perform more than Brazil to win, if I'm being honest.
Rank?
I mean, you can approach it from two angles, because I think it's one of the first times that Brazil don't have international pressure. I think that everyone looking from the outside is saying, oh, this Brazil team is going through a bit of a rebuild. They have this new manager. They are trying to see this new young talent. They're trying to see how they're going to do. But among themselves, like, for Brazilians, it's always about performing. It's always about winning. When you have 5 stars on your jersey, it's always about winning.
Yeah.
I think that the media and the fans are going to be ruthless no matter what about Brazil's performance. So I definitely think that there's a lot of pressure on Brazil to perform. But like you were saying, it's going to be incredibly difficult without Neymar, basically the guy that they built this team around and who was the one creating everything offensively for Brazil. Now, obviously, they still have a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
talent up front.
Vinny has to step up. He's got to step
Yeah,
up. He has to.
he has to be the one that it's not only scoring but also creating the chances for his teammates. He has to be the one basically doing everything, because then I think Paqueta can have an important role as well for the national team. He's usually pretty good. The rest of the midfield, I'm not really that convinced in. And defensively, I really don't trust Brazil. Like, these guys conceded 2 to Mexico. I don't know what you make out of that. And they are saying as well that it's not 100% certain that Alisson will start in goal. Like, people in Brazil are really saying that Alisson has been on and off and that they are not certain about his ability. They want to start Bento, who's been playing for Atlético Paranaense in the Brazilian league. Very good goalkeeper. I
Yeah, he
rate
is
him,
very good.
but still, it's a downgrade from prime Alisson, definitely.
Yeah.
And the fact that you are having all these doubts before approaching the tournament is very, very concerning for Brazil. I wouldn't set the alarms about them getting grouped. We're going to look a bit at how our group is and what teams they're going to have to face. But when they have to face a strong team, those games against Uruguay or against Colombia that they're going to have to play, it's going to be very difficult, because the main thing that this Brazil team doesn't seem to have is character. I don't see the character in Brazil. It doesn't seem that whenever things are going wrong, they have what it takes to step up and make something out of nowhere.
They're missing that Thiago Silva leadership. They're missing the Thiago Silva leadership and that kind of core.
Yeah. Just trying to get it done. They don't have that. Like, if they are not playing well, if things are going their way, they don't have someone that can change the game out of nowhere and just turn things around for them. I feel like that's going to be very difficult for them, because Uruguay and Colombia are going to be extremely physical against them. And I just don't see Brazil matching that intensity. They are going to have to outplay them technically, like we always expect Brazil to do. But do they have the quality?
So what do you guys think Brazil? What is the main thing that I think that they need in order to win this? Do they need Vini to step up? And supposed to step up. Do they need to play better as a collective? Is this down to the coach? Is it down to the manager? Like, what is the one element? Okay, no, this is something that needs to happen for them to now say what's up.
Well, the two things that I would look at in terms of the coach, manage that defense. The defense needs to be solid because I see them concede from a lot of crosses, that the midfield gets broken with a simple pass sequences. I feel like the coach needs to solve the issues defensively. Now, offensively, I think it's up to the players to step up. And the main guy is obviously going to be Vinicius. I think that he needs to be the guy. And then obviously you're going to have Endrick coming off the bench. I really think that Endrick could make a big impact for Brazil at this tournament. But the main guy is going to be Vini, and he has to sort things out by himself. I feel like a lot of Brazil's success is going to come down to, can Vini create something out of nowhere? He has to receive the ball on the wing and just kind of make magic, because otherwise nothing is going to happen for Brazil.
Ricardo, one element I think Brazil needs to say what's up.
I think it's hard to say that that it's anything other than Vinicius stepping up, right? He's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. Y'all have seen how much I've actually campaigned for him to win the Copa, the Ballon d'Or. But without this Copa America or him doing anything, it's gonna be a hard battle for me.
He has to play well.
Yeah.
So okay. Why? Because we sort of saw it with Messi a bit. Because Messi was always good for Argentina, but he was so extraordinary for Barcelona. We were always like, yeah, you're good, but why don't we see the same unicorn for Barca we see for Argentina? And then Messi finally figured it out. And what he had to figure out between club and international is that international is more about you as an individual. Club, you can always rely on the system, because in club, you train 4 or 5 times a day, and you can always lean onto the system. Oh, I know that player is always going to be there. I know that player is always going to be there. International, it's about your culture, your cultural identity as a nation of how you interpret football, but also as an individual, you have to actually have a lot more agency. And what you saw from Messi was, I have to have a lot more agency, and I've got to sort of flip a switch in my brain to be like, this isn't club football, this is international football, and I've got to now culturally inject myself into what it means to play football from an Argentine point of view, and just sort of metamorphosize into something different. So I think for Vini, he's going to realize that this isn't the system that Carlo has built. Valverde ain't here, Bellingham ain't here, Modric ain't here. I've got to sort of adapt myself into what this is, which is international football. I'm playing in Brazil, and actually have a lot more agency as an individual. I mean, Ricardo, do you agree? Or
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. I think when Vinicius plays football, I think this is the one thing I think people are very dishonest about. I think when it comes to playing the game of football, Vinicius is definitely has the flair. He has this, and the comparisons with Neymar obviously rub a lot of people the wrong way. But I definitely do think that a lot of the excitement that guys like Ronaldinho, Neymar have brought to the game, Vinicius brings it as well. I think this is kind of more beyond Vinicius. I don't think the structure of the team is definitely there to help Vinicius succeed. Much like Messi, like when he was at the national team, he was kind of pulling superpower performances just to get his team into finals, and some of the the other guys underperforming. Sometimes you had Mascherano performing, sometimes you had Di Maria, sometimes Higuain. It was never really unison until obviously now. And this is the same thing with Vinicius in Brazil. A lot of gaps are in his team, and they've had 3 different managers in now 3 different years, I would say. I think Cheech was definitely one that kind of got overly criticized. I believe he's only lost 2 games in his entire managerial career. One was against Argentina, one was against Croatia, I believe. What they tried to do with the previous coach was the Fluminense coach. I don't really know what they tried. It was, how do you have an interim manager? They tried to get Ancelotti. Didn't really work out because he extended, and now they got Dorival Jr., who was the Sao Paulo coach. I think there needs to be a level of stability, so not everything falls into Vinicius's responsibility. I think that's being very disingenuous and unfair, and obviously it's a bit It's a lot of pressure for him too because you're seen as the face of Brazil post Neymar, and Neymar not being there, it's kind of accelerating the process. Obviously, Neymar, even though he hasn't won anything of significance with Brazil, there is still a massive gap to fill because of the
And the
quality of
Olympics
player.
don't count. Neither does the Confederates Cup. We're not counting the Confederates Cup or the Olympics, bro. So
Essentially, Neymar finished the mini games of the main campaign. That's what he essentially did. He did the minor stuff. All right, he got the minor stuff out of the way. He's trying to do the main campaign. Whether he can beat the game is a different story. But Vinicius doesn't really have anything to his name right now. So I mean, yes, we can all be like, "Oh, Vinicius doesn't show up for Brazil, does it?" Which fair enough, he doesn't really show up, but I don't think it's just because he's not a good player or just because that shirt's too heavy. I think there are other external factors such as this changing of management, the surrounding players. But I definitely do think in the later part of his career, he definitely will have more help. Whether or not he will still be the face of Brazil at that point, because I personally think Rodrigo is better for Brazil than Vinicius is. We don't know where Endrick is going to be 5 years time. Is he going to be the face of Brazil over Vinicius? You know, you have other talents such as Esteban. Who knows who he could be? Maybe Vinicius is not seen as the Neymar for the team as Neymar was for his national team, right? So I think Vinicius, it partially is his issue of not performing, but I also think there's other factors outside of that that are beyond his control. But this definitely is a big tournament for him. He has to show that he can perform. I think anything, like I said, anything less than a finals is definitely a failure in my eyes, and that's not even judging how Vinicius. I think Vinicius should be one of the top scorers of the tournament,
yeah,
and one of the players
basically
of the
it's where
tournament.
like I think there's more pressure on Vini than there is on Brazil, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There has to be, because we're talking about one of the best players in the world, like if not the best player in the world. This is unacceptable, especially someone who plays for Real Madrid and is a Brazilian
Okay,
national.
let's move. So let's now go to Ranksman
Oh
Darwizi,
gosh.
Darbibi. So here's my thing. So as I said, like at the top of the show, if I have Argentina as the favorites, I think the second favorites for this are Uruguay. So correct me if I'm wrong. So Uruguay and Argentina are in the same number of trophies of Copa Americas.
15.
15 each.
Yes.
So yeah, they both have 15 each. So I think that Uruguay look very good, and I think I'm looking specifically at that at that World Cup qualification game, and I was like, oh, these guys stacked up very well and matched up very well against Argentina, and I'm looking at just at their build up, and also now obviously I'm sure Rank will have lots like Darwin Nunes is an enigma. He can either look like a superb, amazing striker that's a force to be reckoned with, or it can look like a complete and total moron. But I feel for Uruguay, they're going to be a strong threat. So if Uruguay and Argentina finish top of their group, they face in the final or in the semis.
Finals.
Finals.
So Uruguay are on Brazil's side.
And
Yes.
Colombia.
Okay, all right. So look, I mean, here's the thing. The final that I think is the glitzy glamour final would be Brazil Argentina. I think looking at the teams, the best final from a footballing point of view would be Argentina Uruguay. I think if we run back that qualification game and actually put that in a Copa America final between both of these sides, I think that would probably be the best footballing final. So I think for Uruguay, look, they have a strong chance. So it's all dependent whether they don't get any injuries. Darwin Nunes brings in this is form, and they maintain not only their quality but their tenaciousness and their physicality. So rank Uruguay's chances.
Uruguay's chances very good, very very good. I don't think there's been this much anticipation for Uruguay at the Copa America since 2011, where they obviously won it. They were coming off a great World Cup, and yeah, they went on a golden run there. Um, Ever since, it feels like Uruguay has been on a constant decline until they finally decided to move on from Oscar Tavares, who did amazing things for the national team, but he had overstayed his welcome. And now they are kind of changing the forms, and Bielsa has brought a completely new style for Uruguay, who used to be like this team that is going to keep it low scoring and going to rely on their big attacking players to kind of make the difference. Now they are under Bielsa, they are playing his style, which is gegenpressing. They're going to be super intense. They're always trying to play with the ball, and whenever they lose the ball, try to gain it back as quickly as possible. Super intense. They are not going to let you have a second to think. And it works really well with this crop of players that they have, with the Valverdes, with Nunez, who is very fast, likes to press a lot. I think that a main part of this team that usually goes under the radar is Pelistri. Pelistri, obviously, we don't hear much about him at club level because he never starts for Manchester United, but for this Uruguay team, he is really, really big. And other players like Nicolás de la Cruz, which I was mentioning earlier, just the brain, the footballing IQ of this guy to kind of dictate the midfield and create chances for his teammates is insane. And then you add the defensive solitude of people like Araujo, like Jimenez, and you see that this team, it's very complete. You barely see any gaps or anything that other teams could expose. My main worry is that advantage that they have may also be their weakness, because we've seen times and times again with Bielsa in tournaments. Bielsa is an amazing manager, an amazing tactician. His trophy cabinet is surprisingly empty.
Tricky.
So the thing about Bielsa is that he is extremely stubborn, and that he likes to stick to his players and his system, and he prefers to die with that system than changing it up for the better of the team. So also the thing about this gegenpressing is that it looks amazing when it works, and when it doesn't work, it's just suicidal football. So it's not the best system for a tournament, because it only takes one mistake for you to get completely exposed, and then you have to figure something out on the fly. And that's what I mainly fear for Uruguay. But at that point, I'm just nitpicking, because everything else about this team looks completely amazing, and it's either that they implode because of Bielsa's stubbornness, or that Darwin Nunez misses every chance. But for the rest, they are poised to make the final and potentially win it.
Ricardo?
Yeah, we're talking about obviously the biggest anomaly and the biggest overachievers in the history of the sport. National team and club level. Uruguay, a country of like what, 4 million people, cut that in half. That's 2 million men winning 15 Copa Americas and what, if you want to count the 2 world titles, but they have 4 in my opinion, but whatever. I know rank obviously probably because of the rivalry feels different about Uruguayans and maybe Brazilians too, just because they are direct competition. But someone else, myself, who's Peruvian, Uruguay are, you mentality wise, you can't outdog them. They are who they are. They are the PMP of South America. You can't physically outdo them. As tough as Brazilians and Argentines are themselves, Uruguay are just a force of nature. It's always exciting when they are kind of in competition with Argentina and Brazil, just because it's hard not to root for them. A country that small, accomplishing that much.
They're like the Rocky Balboa of South
Yeah,
America, pretty
exactly.
much.
So they go toe to toe with Brazil and Argentina more than any other nation could. And right now, the way they have been playing has been great. They've been great in the qualifiers. Seemingly in the last few qualifiers, they have actually like struggled just to get by, but they look very comfortable now, especially under someone like Bielsa, which is that's not surprising. Bielsa is Bielsa at the end of the day. But a lot of what Rank was saying is true regarding Bielsa. Typically, it starts off incredibly positive, very strong, but it starts to fizzles out as the tournament can go
And
on.
then he doesn't have a plan B, really.
Yeah, and I mean, he wants to go out on his own shield. Kudos to him. If he wins, it looks beautiful. If he doesn't, there's room for criticism. But I think everybody accepts Bielsa for who he is, because he does take on very challenging projects a lot of the times. Like, there's no reason why a manager of his caliber should be at Leeds, for example. But he did, and he did great there, and that shows you the quality of him. I think with this Uruguay national team, a lot of players are in the right spot. Federico Valverde, one of the best players in the world, in my opinion, one of the top 5 midfielders in the world. I would go as far as saying top 3. He's there. He embodies everything what it means to be Uruguayan, from the technical point of view, from the physical point of view, and the mentality point of view. You have other guys. in the midfield, obviously Bentancur, someone who's somewhat slept on. I wouldn't say he's of the highest echelon of players, but he
No, but
definitely
he's
isn't
decent. He's
mediocre.
decent. The guy's
He
decent.
does the job. He does the
Yeah.
job. Obviously, there's Manuel Ugarte, who is a brickhead of his own. Obviously, very physical, great player. Didn't have the best of season at PSG, but for Uruguay, obviously he's solid. Pelestri, young talent. Surprisingly, he hasn't broken into Man United's team, which, as much as I believe he should have, he's very good. Obviously, you have Jimenez, another Uruguayan warrior, Ronald Araujo. And then the question is Darwin Nunes. I believe, if you ask me, Darwin Nunes for Uruguay, Darwin Nunes for Liverpool, two different players, two
Yeah.
different. Well, one's a beast, the other one not so much. But I actually believe Darwin Nunes. Call me crazy. I think he should be top goal scorer of this tournament. If I'm being honest,
But that's not a crazy statement to say because I
it's
told you
not that crazy.
he's an enigma. Like, if he is top scorer of this tournament, I wouldn't be surprised because I'm like, that's what he can do.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he
the
can either
top.
be trash or just like score a three-piece in a game.
Yeah, I mean he's the top scorer in the qualifiers right now. But like I said, Uruguayans, man, when they play with that, with the national team jersey, they're just a different animal altogether, man. They're a force to be reckoned with. I think definitely Uruguay. Them winning this tournament, in my opinion, isn't surprising.
No,
Like it wouldn't
it's
be
not.
like, oh, how did Argentina or whoever they
No,
face
no,
in
it's
the
not
final not win
surprising.
it? I would say anything less than a final is definitely would be surprising for me. I think they are better than Brazil. I think they are better than Colombia, and I would go as far as saying they're looking eye to eye with Argentina right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the hunger of the national team, just because they haven't won since 2011, and they won it in Argentina. They eliminated Argentina in the process. Yeah, so I mean, for Uruguay, like this is a very exciting time for them. I definitely do think they should be in the final, and if they win, it would not surprise me. I think it would be a great accomplishment for them. But yeah, no, Uruguay definitely there.
Okay, so let's now move to guys who might be looking for their first Dubinsky man. So, let me just pull this up. Where are we? Where are we? So, Ecuador. Now, so Ecuador have never won this Copa America, and my thing is, so again, it just shows you how football changes. Again, growing up, Chile and Ecuador. So I'm thinking, so this is 90s. So when I was watching football in the 90s, in the 90s Copa America, Ecuador and Chile, these are guys who completely disregard. Chile have the golden generation, back-to-back Copa America titles, and they're very first to Copa America titles. So for Ecuador can be like, wait a minute, if Chile can do it against that Argentina team that had Messi twice, bro, why can't we do it? Because if we're feeling that this is a very special generation and a very special group, why can't we now come up and now say what's up? Because as good as Argentina are, as good as Uruguay are, they're not unbeatable. These guys are not unbeatable. And I don't think Ecuador should look at Argentina or Brazil as to like how basically when you saw Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Romario, they pretty much beat you before the referee even blew the whistle. So there was definitely a fear factor that other teams had when you had those guys. But I think for now, there's a respect, but you're like, okay, no, if we compete with these guys, both physically and technically, we can give ourselves a chance to answer what's up. So, Rank, what chances do you give Ecuador to do a Chile and maybe win their very first Copa America? Or do you think this is maybe too soon for these guys?
I'm honestly very skeptical on Ecuador currently. Ecuador, like you were saying, also a bit of an enigma because in the 21st century, they've been fantastic in World Cup qualifiers. They've made every World Cup, not of being except for 2010 and 2018. So that you'd assume that making that good in the qualifiers, being constantly top 5 in CONMEBOL, would translate into Copa America success. And yet they haven't made a single semifinal. The last semifinal was when they last hosted it in 93. So in Copa America, like Ecuador simply doesn't perform. They are not a tournament team. And obviously, this could be the generation to change that. They potentially have an easy route to a semifinal. and they have a lot of great players. Like the midfield with Caicedo is really good. You have Kendry Páez as this young rising start that is extremely creative and really, really insane to look at from his talent perspective. It's crazy to think that he's 17, barely 17. Defensively, super solid. I feel like Hincapié and Pacho are two defensive rocks that are gonna keep a clean sheet, and they also have they are dangerous also going forward. They can win in the air in both areas, and I feel like the defensive system that they have is so incredibly tough to break through. And I saw that in the last friendly that we recently played against them, that even though we have a lot of possession, it's very hard to break down this Ecuador team. But the problem with Ecuador is going forward, they have nothing. In that friendly that we played, they didn't create a single chance. They were playing Jeremy Sarmiento as a false nine, and the guy, I don't think he got a touch of the ball. Going forward, it's very difficult for this Ecuador side, and I think they slightly improved when Ener Valencia walked into the pitch, and at least they had a reference up front to kind of send crosses into and try to create something. But I feel like the guy just simply isn't good anymore, and that's my main worry for Ecuador. Obviously, you had the scandal with players like Gonzalo Plata. I thought that Gonzalo Plata was going to be the new breakout star, and he ended up going to the Qatar League and then ended up getting into some trouble. Now he isn't called up, and I feel like they have no danger down the wings as well. So even though Ecuador, I feel like they have a great team, they have great organization, and Felix Sanchez, who may look like Guardiola, but the guy, it's only the appearance, because the rest of the tactics is just isn't there. But defensively, extremely solid. They are gonna make it close for every team. They are gonna make it hard for any team. But I don't see how they score goals. That's my main worry. So I don't see them getting over the edge in these key matches, and that's my main worry for them.
I mean, just before we go to record it, so you're in a group with Mexico, Venezuela, and Jamaica. If you top that group, you either play Peru, Chile, or Canada. If these guys don't make the semis, that is an abject failure. I mean, Ricardo, talk to me. What are you saying about Ecuador? Do you share Rank's pessimism that good in qualifications, when it comes down to Gid, Dodd, and actually saying what's up, they wet the
Yeah,
bed?
yeah, no, I think a lot of what Rank said is true. I mean, I thought a lot of what he explained was just evident in the game against Argentina, right? And to be fair, you're playing against Argentina. This is gonna give you a good feel where you may stand in this tournament, right? Like I said earlier, Argentina were like in second gear the whole time. Like it's almost like Argentina knew like at some point we'll break through, we'll score. Obviously it took a bit of magic from Cuti Romero turning into Riquelme and then Di Maria laying it off into the net. But really after that chance, it started opening up a little bit more. I thought Argentina could have scored a few more, but Ecuador generally up until that point they were defensively very solid. They don't give up very much. Obviously, their anchor there being Moises Caicedo, who didn't have the best season at Chelsea, but he's still a quality player nonetheless. It seems like this team, and I don't blame them, is going to be built around Kendry Páez for the future. And I believe they do have a Copa America coming in their nation very soon. I'm not sure if it's the next one. I believe I could be wrong. I'm not too sure. But unfortunately, he's 17 years old. You can take that as a positive because you get to see a young talent, but he's obviously not at the prime age or at the age where he's going to be taking on senior level football and going against, obviously gladiators of the continent. But the kid is special. There's no denying that. But what Rank said is completely true. I honestly thought when I was watching that game that Kendry Páez was playing as like a false nine or something. I didn't even know they were playing with a striker. Like he was. I didn't even count the amount of men on the field, but they could have been playing with 10 men that whole time. And I wasn't even aware of it. Obviously, someone like Ener Valencia coming off the bench gives him a reference point, and obviously that's more so with the experience. He knows how to tussle with the defenders and there, but he age has caught up to him. He's not the same. But this Ecuador, they have a lot of pieces to build off. Obviously, Hincapié being one of the main pieces in the Leverkusen team that has gone undefeated, has had a great season. Young team, a lot of physicality there. This, honestly, in my opinion, has been the best Ecuador team, at least in terms of potential, I've seen in a very, very long time.
But is it still? But it's semis minimum though. Half percent is minimum.
Yes. You know what? I wouldn't even. Yeah, I by all expectations, they should make the semis. But when you lack firepower, I don't think Mexico will do anything. Neither will Jamaica. Venezuela might just be the funny team here that could probably beat
Oh no, no,
them
no.
somehow.
We'll get to the underdogs. We'll get to the
Yeah,
underdogs.
so Ecuador, they're, I would say if you were to say top five team, they are a top five team, but they're probably sitting at number five. I think comfortably there. But yeah, like he said, Plata should definitely been in this team, or at least if all expectations went to plan. But I'm not sure if you know what happened that night in New York. I believe it was.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
shout
I'm
out.
just
oh, it's worse. It's worse. Their debut is in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, so shout out to Kendry Paez. Obviously, he got initiated into the team by going to
No
a
shot.
strip club.
oh wow.
Yeah, they took a 16-year-old to a strip club. I believe that was that was the thing. But they're having a good time. Classic Latin Americans, man, having a
Oh
good
my
time.
god, wow. All right, okay, look, let's move back. All right, so um let's swing it over to these dudes, man. So Colombia. Um rank is James Rodriguez still relevant in 2024?
He is. He
Let's
very
let's
much
start
is.
there.
He very much is.
So what are you saying about Colombia? Because I watched the game. I watched the Colombia Brazil game, qualifier, where the amazing meme of Luis Diaz's dad pretty much like coming back to life and everything. So could Colombia do something interesting at this, or do you think they're probably missing a few too many pieces and they perhaps may be too reliant on Luis Diaz? Because they do have a few other guys as well. Again, if people have heard Chelsea are putting in 40 mil for Duran, a guy who's scored 5 goals and sort of last season. So what do you think about Colombia, and how important do you think James Rodriguez, Luis Diaz, their star players can be for them?
I don't think that there's potential for them to do something. I think that they are called up to do something at this tournament, seeing that the form that they are coming into this tournament. I feel like Colombia is also a team like Uruguay who just kind of has everything. You have a very good goalkeeper. I think that Vargas has stepped up, replacing Ospina, who is clearly out of his prime, and he's only called up for the experience. The defense is extremely solid. Lukumi had an amazing season with Bologna. Daniel Munoz, ever since he made the move to Crystal Palace, has also been fantastic. He was also great previously at Genk in Belgium, but just the way that he's playing now in the Premier League, just showing the world his quality as a right back has been incredible. And then in the midfield with the guys like Jefferson Lerma, James Rodriguez kind of reviving that number 10 role that is so very important. For club, James Rodriguez is another player. He's not even starting for his club, Sao Paulo in Brazil. But in the national team, it's a different story. He's the one that dictates the play and kind of gives a pause when he receives the ball and looks around him and finds the best pass to put his teammates into a better position, and then just extremely dangerous in the attack. You have on one side the guy who's already succeeding in Europe in Luis Diaz, and the guy on the other, the guy who's about to succeed in Europe for me, which is John Arias. So I think that they have two extremely dangerous wingers with a very creative and talented number 10. That is a great recipe. And my main worries for this Colombia team currently are two. One is the striker. I think that Rafael Santos Borré is really not that guy anymore that we saw win the Europa League with Frankfurt. Now in playing in South America, he's absolutely washed. And even though he scored a bicycle kick against the USA, I really wouldn't count that. I feel like the guy is still unreliable. And, I would kind of give a chance to John Duran at striker. I would try at least to see what he can do, because really at striker is where I have the main worries. And then also who's going to be Lukumi's partner in crime in the center back, because if we're still starting guys like Jerry Mina or Davinson Sanchez, the thing is not going to work. I feel like Carlos Cuesta would be a much better option, and that would be an extremely solid defense in my opinion, because Sanchez is just very error prone. The guy is just a ticking time bomb. So my main worries for Colombia come down to squad selection, I feel like.
But I'm just even looking at it. Colombia can top that group. Because I think that group is going to come down to the Colombia-Brazil game. So would you be shocked if Colombia topped that group?
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all because obviously we've seen Colombia beat Brazil recently and playing great. Like, they probably should have won by more goals, honestly. My main worry comes down to that, to squad selection, and that usually whenever there's expectation on Colombia, they tend to underperform. We saw that, like you were saying earlier, the '94 World Cup. They had thrashed us 5-0 in the qualifiers here in Buenos Aires. They went into a tournament with a lot of expectations. They got grouped. So
Now,
I feel like,
but quickly on that though, do you know the Escobar story?
I know the Escobar story, and I actually I'm making a video about it, so I'm very much informed about it.
And it just shows you, let me just show you. So again, for guys who don't know, so basically, 94 World Cup, Escobar scored an own goal. And I think that was like a crucial goal that made them go out. And then now people say it's unrelated, but when he returned back to Colombia, I think he was basically killed. And people believe that it was linked to that own goal. But now there were thoughts saying that he was actually linked to some other stuff. So in Nigeria, in school, every time someone used to score an own goal in school, we would always say, Escobar, Escobar. We were young and very immature. Okay, you're dealing with very young kids who did anything. But it's true, like in Nigeria, we always say, Escobar, Escobar. Anytime someone was scored an own goal. But yeah, it was wild. It was wild. So Ricardo, what do you think about Colombia in relation to what Renk is saying?
Yeah, no, I think like he hit a nail on the head on a lot of things. I think Colombia definitely one of the prime teams to. I don't think they'll win. If I'm gonna be honest, I think one of the three-headed monsters are gonna win. Colombia is literally right behind them, though. I think Colombia, what's going for them is they're heading to this tournament in the best form possible. Obviously, not losing in 20 games, that says something for that. They play great football. There's no denying that. Luis Diaz turns into Ronaldinho when he wears the Colombian. I don't know how the hell he does that, but he's super exciting to watch. I remember the game, one of the last games against Spain, I believe it was. I can't remember who was playing right back at the time, but that guy was cooking, man. That guy was cooking. Everybody was dancing cumbia on the field, man. James Rodriguez is very interesting because watching football nowadays, seeing the resurgence of attacking midfielders, I kind of feel for James that he's kind of a player that would be relevant today that just grew up in a wrong time. And I think for the national team, James is definitely a different player.
But in club football now, where you now have, rather than masters, you have jack of all trades. Remember, does club football still have specialists? Because for me, like again, I grew up in an era of where you are a specialist. You're a number 10, and all you do is you specialize in playmaking, and we will sort out all the other stuff for you. But now, every player has to do multiple things. But I think for James Rodriguez, he's a throwback national number 10 and a specialist. So
he's definitely a traditional number 10 in every way of the word. I think when you come in terms of being a specialist, I think you have to be an anomaly of the sport, because I think the only two players that get away with that is Messi and Neymar, and not Cristiano Ronaldo. He's more, you can plug him in any system because he is a natural goal scorer. But with Messi and Neymar, those are guys you build your team off because of the creative ability. As for James, the creative ability obviously is his forte here. James definitely, when he plays for Colombia, is a completely different player, much like Darwin Núñez, like we said. He's been great. But yeah, a lot of things that that Renka said with Yon Arias, guy's a beast. Definitely great. One of my favorite players actually in Palmeiras is Richard Rios. Definitely a fantastic player. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But like, what really more is there to say about Colombia? They're heading into this in great form. I think anything less than, it's gonna be tough because they are in a group with Brazil, and the team that comes in second will most likely face Uruguay. So you're looking at a very early exit for one of those three teams.
Yeah.
So really, whoever finishes second in Group C, I believe they're in Group C, or the Group D, whatever. But
Group D.
Group D. Whoever finishes second in Group D is gonna face could face a nightmare of a disaster of a tournament, whether it be them or whether it be Brazil, or who knows, maybe it's Uruguay that go and they face disaster, right?
No, we'll get there. Trust me, Trump is on his way. Trump is on his way.
So I mean, one of those three teams are gonna face an early exit, because Uruguay are a force. I think for Colombia, I would say anything less than a semifinals is a failure. I think if they make the finals, it's a success of the tournament. Whether even if they were to lose it, I think semifinals they should be there. They should have the capabilities of beating Brazil, and they should have the capabilities of beating Uruguay. But if they were to beat Uruguay, they would absolutely have to play their best game in that
Yeah.
whole stretch of games because Uruguay is no joke. Yeah, Colombia definitely fourth favorite in my opinion, winning this tournament.
Okay. All right. So 30. So now I just want a very simple answer to this right now.
I'm scared.
How many players from 2010 are going to be in this Copa America for these dudes?
The last hurrah. I think there's
No, no,
three
no,
or
no, no,
Probably
Ricardo,
two.
no, no, Ricardo,
Probably
you can't,
two.
you can't say the last hurrah. The last hurrah was about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So,
The
like,
very last hurrah, like coming out of the grave.
but then it'll be the very, 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 very last hurrah. So, when will this? Is this like a government mandate where these guys are now forced to now play and they keep getting rolled out?
They're a national treasure, man. Come on, respect them.
Yeah, man.
Ricardo, talk to me, but what just with Chile? What this guy? Come on, man.
Look, Chile, they may be they're running the course a little bit. Obviously, like I said earlier, they have Peru's best manager they've had in God knows how long. And Ricardo Gareca, who's a quality manager. I actually would say he's one of the best managers in South America. And if by some divine miracle he would win the Copa America with Chile this time around, I'm looking at Ricardo Gareca as one of the best South American managers in the world. Like
Oh wow.
it would be unprecedented what he has done with both Peru and Chile. Obviously, going to the Copa America final with Brazil with Peru against Brazil, who obviously came up short. No surprise there. But uh, Chile, a lot of these guys have been in this team for quite a long time. Claudio Bravo, Mauricio Isla, Alexis Sanchez, and we gotta put some respect on Eduardo Vargas's name. He's one of the top goal scorers in Copa America history. Uh,
Unironically.
he has more goals than Messi, so
Wow.
put some respect on that.
Wait,
Put some-
is Valdivia still around here?
no, Valdivia. No, he was one. He's actually my favorite Chilean player of all time.
Oh no, that guy's
Valdivia,
really good, really good.
proper baller, man. They didn't call Vidal, which I guess by
What about Bosajo?
Bushes. I
No,
haven't
that
seen
guy
the
has
guys.
been gone for a while.
No, but look, these guys, they're a wild card. I think, if anything, they'll probably be the team to somehow beat Ecuador, assuming Ecuador go first and Chile go second, right? I do think Chile will end up second, in their group, and I wouldn't put it past them just based off experience that they end up beating Ecuador and we see a Chile Argentina semifinals. But really, they're kind of playing with, I guess, house money. Like, there's no really much
Yeah.
expectation. A lot of the old guard is definitely dwindling out. Ricardo Gareca, this is his first major tournament with the team, so he can see what he could do. And yeah, I think the next generation of Chilean players aren't obviously as bright as Sanchez and Vidal, Valdivia, and who's a Medel. But this is the last tournament for a lot of them. I think a lot of those
Until
jokes.
until then the
If
next
I find out 2026 they're still rocking with Sanchez and them guys,
then I'm writing to the UN. I'm writing to the
yeah,
UN, bro.
serious conversations needs to be had.
So Rick, what do you think about Chile?
I kind of had the same thoughts as Ricardo that they are playing with nothing to lose at this tournament because obviously after the disaster that was not qualifying to the 2018 World Cup and then not qualifying to 2022 as well, it's been a downward trend for the golden generation. Definitely, it's been slowly disintegrating with the passage of time. And now you only have Alexis Sanchez and Claudio Bravo somehow still around. The guy's 40, by the way.
Jesus.
So yeah, there are a lot of question marks around Chile, but I feel like they made a great opponent in Gareca. Like the guy is an extraordinary manager, especially for international football. He did wonders with Peru, and now he's trying to slowly build up this team he has. I expect him to have a lot more agency as to what happens with the youth. They have some talent coming up. There's Dario Osorio, who is a 20-year-old playing at Midtjylland, who I think is very exciting. And he showed up. He scored a goal against France in their friendly. And, they played a friendly last night against Paraguay. They dropped 3 on them. So slowly but surely, this Chile team is trying to create something out of nowhere, because they look like, if you ask me this question like a year ago, I would say that Chile has no chance. But suddenly they are slowly starting to build something, and there's a reason for Chileans to be excited about this team. And obviously not win it. That's
they're
far
not going to win
beyond
it, boy.
but there's a potential for them to come second in their group, because I think that they completely dominate the War of the Pacific against Peru. Like, they have that matchup on lock, and then it's a matter of fact. It's just a matter of beating Canada, which I think that they should be able to do. And then potentially in the quarterfinals, you're looking at either Venezuela, Mexico, or Ecuador.
Jamaica. Ecuador.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
Like it's very possible that Chile out of nowhere make the semis, just because of how the draw was laid out for them, and because of this slowly racing talent that they are rising. I think that Nunez in the midfield is very, very key to them. Paulo Diaz as the center back, and Alexis Sanchez somehow is still creating stuff for them.
And also some things that you tend to see, because obviously you sometimes see this in tournaments. So we could very much see Argentina play Chile twice in the groups and in the semis.
And in the semis, it could very well. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Obviously, I think that we not only are much better than Chile, but we also match up well against them. So I think that it's going to be extremely difficult for Chile to do anything against us. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make the semis, honestly, because just based on the road that's laid out for them and the talent that they have, and having Gareca as the manager, I feel like there's reason to be hopeful about Chile.
Okay. So now you're going to have to take the lead here, Ricardo, man. And I want you to be very, very respectful of these dudes, man. So here's the thing. Now, what are the expectations for America on a tournament that they are hosting? Remember, this is on home soil, but based on how trash the preparation has been, getting 5 piece by Colombia is not the best preparation to have. Because see, my thing is that I'm fearful.
The game against Brazil has started as well, so like.
Oh wow! Is that? Oh yeah. Oh,
it's at 7,
yeah. We'll look at that. So, how fearful should America be? Because you're facing really good opposition, and this is this is much more of a step up as to the kinds of opposition that they faced in the World Cup. So, what should the expectation be?
The expectation for them, damn, it's almost like really just get out of the groups. Like, because let's be honest, you're not gonna be first place with Uruguay there. Like, literally the second best, if not the best team right now going into this tournament, right?
But so they should beat Panama and Bolivia.
They should be Panama. It should be Bolivia. Bolivia are literally altitude merchants. On an even playing field, Bolivia are not a force. They should be able to make it out of the group as a second place. Anything more than, even if they come first place in this group, overachievement in my opinion. Because regardless, you still got to face Colombia and Brazil, and you may get a taste of what to come in the future if you come out second because you face Colombia. You literally got. These guys were crip walking. Like, James scored one of the most ridiculous goals I've seen in a while. They put a 5 behind them. They're gonna face Brazil. Who knows? Maybe Vini ups that tally. He might get a hat trick there. I don't know. But look, a lot of the opinions I have of United States obviously come from the guys here who are American and they watch. They're obviously not very satisfied with their manager. They feel like obviously somebody is.
No, he's a wrong guy for the job. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and to be fair, America, this is the most talent I've seen them have in quite a probably ever, right? Before it was just like Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey, and
then also Claudio Reyna.
Yeah, and a bunch of random guys in between. But this team definitely has a lot of talent spread around. Now, obviously, when you're talking about what the quality of this talent is compared to other nations, I think that's a different conversation. Obviously, this is not like, I think their best talent, Pulisic or whoever they even see at this point as their best talent, isn't even like remotely close to a talent coming out of Brazil, Argentina, or Uruguay, right? I don't think playing at home really is going to make much of a difference. I don't think for a lot of these teams, America doesn't strike fear into them.
Yeah.
If anything, a lot of the support fan base when they play is not going to be in their favor. The only time I really ever see American fans ever get rowdy for a game is when they face Mexico. I'll be honest. Other than
So
that,
you're saying they're never going to have crowd support, home support for them?
depends what country they're playing. If they're playing against Argentina, I guarantee you more people are there to support Messi. If you go to Brazil, yeah, they have to face an absolute direct rival for them to have any sort of crowd support. At least that's the way I see it. Like I've been to the States, I've seen some of the games. Like Hispanics show up, but they show up for the team they're from. They're not supporting America just because they live there.
So America, so their aim is get out of the group. Then that's
My
a W.
yes, even a second place, decent tournament. Anything more than that, you have succeeded in my eyes. Because, like I said, you're gonna come up against Brazil
So
or
Colombia, yeah,
and that's where
yes.
your tournament ends. So, yeah, that's
So Reg, what are you saying for America, man? Because I mean, like, because I think I don't think I can disagree with him in terms of get out of the group. I don't see you beating Brazil or Colombia, and that
Yeah.
should be your main aim.
Yeah, no, I think that the main aim for the United States is to take a name, take someone down, like
Yeah.
at least, because
And also just to compete. See, if you're going to lose to Brazil, Colombia, okay, lose, but how you lose, compete, so that you
yeah,
can now
no,
build
not play
upon
one
for
again.
22 to 26. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the main thing for America is that they are building towards that World Cup that they're going to host. It's going to be a massive event for them, and I feel like the preparation just hasn't been it. Like under the manager that they have currently, Mr. Greg, I feel like it's really not the man for the job. But things have to be questioned about the players as well, because that performance against Colombia, I don't think you can single out Greg as the only person at fault for that performance. I feel like many players are just don't perform the same when they have the United States jersey, and I don't know if that comes down to pressure or the tactics or whatever, if they feel uncomfortable out of their system or whatever happens. But something about this United States team is extremely weird, that there's a sense of achievement about being the best team in CONCACAF, especially for a nation whose football is not their first sport. It is an achievement to be better than Mexico, who is such a football crazy country. They are very clearly the number one team in CONCACAF, but it also speaks volumes as to the level of CONCACAF currently, that the best team in CONCACAF cannot compete with the other teams outside of their confederation.
Yeah.
In fact, like Greg's record against top 20 teams outside of Mexico is really bad. The win rate is literally 7%. 7%. So it really isn't good. And I feel like they need to get out of the group. Like I see no way in that they get grouped against Panama, who they have on lock. They always beat Panama, especially at home. Like at home, there's no way that they lose to Panama. And against Bolivia, who kind of randomly decide to perform better at tournaments, but really at sea level, they are no one. They haven't won a qualifier game away from home in like 30 years. I'm being serious there. Like it doesn't make sense how bad Bolivia are and the difference there is on them playing at home and them playing on the road. Like they really need to get out of that group. There's no excuse. So I feel like no, getting out of the group is not an achievement with the group you got. An achievement is going to be if you somehow. The weird thing would be if they beat Uruguay, they top the group, and they still get eliminated in the quarters because they face either Colombia or Brazil. That would be like the weird scenario. But I feel like dropping in the quarters, finishing second in the group and dropping in the quarters would be the bare minimum, which seems to be the thing that USA always does. Just the bare minimum. Barely qualify, just barely make it out of the group at the World Cup. Just never take down someone big.
Let me ask something crazy, and both you guys can answer. If America faced Brazil in the quarters and they beat them, should Brazil lose a star?
There's an argument there. There should be a case presented to FIFA. These guys don't deserve a star. We're gonna take down. Which one would you prefer? One of Pele stars or the R9 star? Which one are we removing?
They should have
I'm not
lost.
gonna answer that
They
question.
should have lost 2 stars by now. The 7-1 in the Maracanã.
That's it. You know what? There's an argument. 7.
letting
you-
Argentina win the Copa America at home. That's two stars.
No.
Actually, yeah, no, you see, the one Argentina, okay, no, 7-1. That there's an argument to lose a star there, but then you can say
No,
Neymar took a lot of
I'm
tax.
not gonna let them, lose to the United States and then have Joe Biden come out and say it's called soccer. No, I'm not gonna have that. We're
That's
not gonna
crazy,
have it.
and he would
So
probably say that.
he
Okay,
would probably
so
say,
so let's look at some of the other things. So, in your opinion, guys, who do you feel? Let me just bring all this thing there. So, who do you feel is gonna be a surprise team? A surprise team for this tournament.
Tell you the right, definitely not Peru.
Oh my! Okay, look, why
Definitely not
why ain't you repping with your guys, man?
They are so bad, like so bad. When you're lower than Bolivia in the qualifiers, you know shit isn't going your way. Look, like I said, we lost our manager, man. There's nothing to talk about. We're just ass. We're taking Paulo Guerrero, who's like touching, who's 40, I think.
Shout out to the Elder States.
The only positive thing about Guerrero is that he turns up for Copa America. Tied with Eduardo Vargas for I think third most. More than Messi. I'll take that until probably the
Yeah.
end of this tournament because that's not gonna last very long. But other than that, nothing positive about Peru. If I would say
listen,
surprising,
I'm still repping my guy at Vincula on the right wing. That's what I mean.
yeah, true. That's the only positive, but there's only so much he could do, man. But if I were to say surprise, probably Venezuela semifinals.
What? Hold up.
No, sorry.
Semifinals?
No, sorry. If they come first in the group, yeah, semifinals.
And there's potential. There's potential for Venezuela. I don't know if you could consider Chile a surprise team, but if you don't consider Chile, I feel like Venezuela would be my surprise pick because there's a real chance that they top that group. Not even get out of it, but top it if they manage to beat Ecuador because of what I said prior, that Ecuador don't seem to have the firepower. Obviously, in their friendly, they played not the friendly. The last qualifier game they played against each other, it was a 0-0 draw. But it was a very physical and cagey game. But if I could see one of the two teams scoring, it's honestly Venezuela. I feel like with Rondon being in crazy goal scoring for Pachuca and Soteldo on the wing, they definitely have more creative offensive players than Ecuador. I don't think they have the defensive capability and organization and the physicality of Ecuador. I would consider Ecuador a better team, but I could see Venezuela just score a random goal out of nowhere and then just defend for their lives because Ecuador don't have the firepower and they can potentially top that group, then go on to beat Chile. Like it can happen.
So no love for Chilavets FC? Paraguay?
No, the problem with Paraguay is that they don't know what a goal is. It's really sad. This team seems to be cursed because it's not even about the chance creation. Against Chile in their friendly the last time, they were very good at creating chances. They were really bad at converting them. They have no natural striker. Almiron hasn't performed for the national team for the last 2 or 3 years. Julian Cisus coming back from injury. And the other guys who are called up to step up, like Ramon Sosa, who's playing here in the Argentinian league, doesn't perform for Paraguay as well. Goal scoring, the team is just a mess.
So you're saying these guys finish the bottom of this group?
No. They're going to beat Costa Rica because Costa Rica have absolutely nothing. But no, I cannot see Paraguay beating Colombia or Brazil. They always give tough games to Brazil. I'll give them that. And defensively, they are very solid. But these guys cannot score. They are just cursed. They cannot progress.
I'll give Paraguay something. As long as I've watched them, they're just the most random team. Like they're always due for a shock result. Like they'll just get one result and they won't show up with another shocking result in the next 5 years.
No, I think for me they're just very physical. Obviously, they're just there just to ruin stuff. So they're just there just to spoil stuff for guys. Like you're not really here to win, but to just get the results. But hang on, how did you get that to win? And also, they're always difficult to beat. You're going to beat them, but they always make it very hard for you to beat them. So
For no reason.
Yeah, there's always there just to ruin stuff, man. Okay, so just to round this off, man. So when we hear picks now, so where are we at? So 128.
So we're doing winners, top goal scorer, and player of the tournament.
So yeah, so let's do that. So actually, let's do top goal scorer. Top goal scorer. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna agree with what guys say. I'm gonna say Nunes. Doesn't mean that they'll win though, but I think Darwin Nunes wins it. Something like seven goals probably.
That is
Because
crazy. 7 goals in a Copa America is crazy.
yeah, I think he probably gets a three piece in one game. I think he gets a three piece in one game, and then he just spreads it out. Because I think Uruguay may make the final. I'll tell you about what happens, but I think I'm going for Darwin Nunes for top goal scorer. Ricardo, top goal scorer.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Darwin Nunes as well. I think he gets 5 goals. I would like to see obviously Messi break the record. I think he's like 5 off the all-time record. He's at 13.
Oh wow!
Record is 17. So he would
Wait,
need
wait,
5.
what's the all-time record?
Zizinho and a Argentine player. It's a tie.
Yeah, I remember.
So he needs 5 more goals. He could do it in the group because the group, like I said, is kind of weak relative to Argentina. But I would say that Darwin Nunes wins with 5 goals.
All right. Rank top goal scorer.
I feel like I have to agree because the other option would be Messi because I feel like our striker situation with Julian or Lautaro, they are not really scoring that many goals. Our goals seem to be we either keep games low scoring or the goals are very spread out across the team. So I feel like it's very hard for one single man to be a goal scorer. And I feel like Darwin just has a group to start at, like against Panama,
Yeah.
Bolivia, and
That's
the USA.
that's the thing. I think because when you just look at his group, come on, he's going to get 2 or 3 against Pan. You see, let's be real. He should start but against all 3 teams: USA,
Yes,
Panama, and
I feel like
Bolivia.
he has a great chance to start, but so I have to go with Nunez. I feel like
Okay, so let's now look at best players. Who do you think is going to be the best player of the tournament? So it sounds cheesy. He's still playing well. He's still playing well. Fine, he's doing it against Chicago Bulls and OKC Thunder, but he's still playing well. So as long as he's
Are
healthy,
we all gonna have the same picks here?
yeah, no, I think we might as well. Messi.
Yeah.
I think Messi best player. So Ricardo, are you saying player of the tournament?
I think who I think is gonna be relative. I think Messi is gonna be the best player of the tournament again, and yeah. So yeah, I
Rank?
other than him, if I were to pick other than Messi, see, I would pick Vinicius because I think like he could have a good tournament, but then again, I'm kind of scared to put money on it. But
Actually, no. Let's even know. I want to even change this a bit, man. So 130, 120. So because my thing is,
best player.
no, who do you think is going to be the most surprising player? Like sort of you can combine it to like best young player or like a guy who is not on anyone's radar who pretty is like a surprise hit. Sort of what like Fallen was in the World Cup. Like, oh wow, we didn't really know he was going to be this good. Because I'm thinking because based on what you guys said about Ecuador, because I was going to go for Paez, but then that's really dependent on like how well his team does. But I think he could be a breakout star in this. But at the same time, I'm looking at Endrick and as to what Endrick does. Because like if Endrick, let's say, comes off the bench and scores again, he may not begin to now start. But then it depends on what Brazil do. So I'm probably gonna go with Paez, who's gonna be like a breakout star. So what do you say? Breakout star.
I respect the Chelsea support there. I think Endrick is a bit young to make much happen with that. Ecuador would have to just completely 180 the offensive load if Kendrick Paez is to be the breakout star. But breakout star, that's tough, man. I can't really put anything past Endrick. I think Endrick will definitely score some goals off the bench and then definitely become a starter and then score a bit more. I can see like maybe 3, maximum 4 goals from Endrick in this tournament. And I think he will win like, I guess, young player of the tournament or breakout player of the tournament. I think Endrick would be my pick.
Rank breakout star.
kind of having the same thoughts about Hendrik because I just see the impact that he has for Brazil coming off the bench and what he did in the Brazilian league for Palmeiras. The guy is just incredible. I was in denial for a long time about this guy that he can't be that good to go to Real Madrid for that much money. No, the guy is actually very, very talented and he's a great goal scorer and very technical. If I wasn't going to go with Hendrik, I feel like I would probably go with someone from Colombia, probably like a John Arias, who people kind of don't know about. It would be a good offensive player on the wing that can potentially cause a lot of trouble. But I feel like Endrick is the safe pick for breakout player, definitely.
All right, so let's now go with our picks. So my thing is, and I want it for like the final, the scoreline. That's what I want to know. So Ricardo, I'm going to ask you. What would the final be? Scoreline, goal scorers.
Okay, to me it's Argentina, Uruguay. I say 2-1 Argentina.
90 or extra time.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I could see it going extras. No, I think it will finish in 90. I think it will finish in 90. Argentina, Uruguay 2-1 goal scorers is going to be Alvarez and Messi. And for Uruguay, does Darwin show up on the big night? That's my question. I feel like I will put. I would like to pick Valverde,
Yeah, you stole my pick.
but I feel like I think it will be. I think they will be winning 2-0, and then Darwin gets like a Ronaldo special.
So basically, so I'm gonna go with 1-1. Messi scores, Valverde scores, Argentina win on penalties. Argentina win on penalties. So then 1-1. So Rank, what are you saying?
The final is gonna be Argentina, Colombia,
Oh,
Could happen.
and Argentina are gonna win 2-0, goals by Cristian Romero and Messi.
Okay.
okay. So are you saying Colombia top of the
Christian
group?
Romero as an attacking midfielder, as a center back?
Cristian Romero is gonna appear as a number 10 out of nowhere, and
Okay, so you're saying that. So you're saying Colombia. So is it that? So are you saying Colombia top of the group? So you're saying Colombia top of the group, and they beat Uruguay in the semis.
I'm saying that they either top the group or Uruguay implode under Bielsa and Colombia get the dub.
Wow, interesting. No. That'd be you see, for me, I feel that you see, if it's Argentina, Colombia, or like I agree with you, it'll be like 2-0, it'll be an easy dub. I think if it's Argentina, Uruguay, that's going to be the best game. If it's Argentina, Brazil,
We're in for an ugly game.
I think it's going to be as an ugly as in a beatdown. I think Argentina could
No,
really
not beat down. There's gonna be like 50 fouls in that game.
no. I mean, it's okay. So if let's say it's Argentina, Brazil, do you think it's going to be like a really brutal physical game, or do you think Argentina will just outclass them? Okay.
No,
Also,
no.
no. If you better question. So I think you may know Ricardo. So if it's Argentina, Brazil, what do you think the splits will be fan-wise in America?
Messi.
More Brazilians, more Argentina. Oh yeah, because there's Messi
Messi's
tax.
king. Messi's king. Definitely people were gonna want to see Messi. If you're casual, neutral. I mean, if you're voting for Brazil, if you go to the stadium as a Brazil fan, you just want Messi to lose. Like there's no real reason to cheer for Brazil unless you're a Real Madrid fan or you're a Neymar hater. Because the only person that neutralizes Messi on the field is Neymar. So and he's not there. But I think it would definitely be more lenient towards Argentina, and I think if that was to be the final, after taking a beating from Uruguay and Colombia, I think Argentina will beat them like 3-0.
So I mean, what final do you want to see?
I always want to see the highest quality, so to me, it's Argentina, Uruguay.
That is crazy, bro.
That's one I could see. That's one I could see Argentina losing, and because I think it becomes even better because Uruguay went into Argentina and beat them in the qualifier in Argentina, so that makes it more like
there'll be more added to it.
Not only that, but you have the two most successful teams in the tournament who are tied, scoring off, and so whoever wins is the leader.
Guys, it's been swell. Hopefully, we'll be looking forward to a lot of this Copa America stuff as it goes through, because it's going to be hectic, because the time zone is going to be crazy for me, man. But yeah, it should be fun, man. So looking forward to the Copa America coverage, as I always do on the channel, and we'll do that pre-match, post-match for the matches to come through. All I'm saying though is, Vini, do not leave this tournament with 0 goals, bro. Because if you do, bro, don't even bother coming to that Ballon d'Or celebration, bro.